PhD, who was going to discuss and present the issues relating to getting to a zero net economy in Turkey. So this is obviously, again, very relevant in what's going on in the energy sector globally. So I'm going to hand over to Levent Bey, and he's going to share his knowledge and guidance on this particular subject. Thank you, Levent. He's going to share his knowledge and guidance on this particular subject. Thank you, Levent.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
He's going to share his knowledge and guidance on this particular subject.
So I think, is there any voice problem?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. He's going to share his knowledge and guidance.
So I think, is there any voice problem? Okay, if everything is okay, I thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, again. First of all, I'm very honored to be here with these distinguished experts. Today, I'm gonna talk about challenges for Turkish economy on financing zero net economy issue. I have a very short presentation about it. As all we know, the world economy damaged from COVID-19 pandemics. And bailout programs and policies created inflation all over the world. For example, U.S. latest inflation data hit 40 years high. The last data is 7.9%. So we are in a high inflation period in the world economy. So let's look at Turkey. We know that, like any other investments, renewable energy investments needs a strong investment climate. And to create a better investment climate, we need to reduce economic risks immediately. So there are a lot of economic risks all over the world, and Turkey has own risks also. When you look at the risks for the Turkish economy, there are both global and local risks. Sorry, I'm closing the other Hopin webpage. Okay, thank you very much. When you look at the when you look at the Turkish economy, there are both global and local risks, as you see in the screen. To be quick, I will show you just some of them. Not all of them, but I'm going to talk about the global side, especially the Fed. Fed, you know, the Federal Reserve, the Central Bank of the United States. And then we have supply chain problems all over the world. And there is a Ukraine-Russia war nowadays, and we have the other regional conflicts all around the world and in the near Turkey. These all are causing economic security problems for Turkish economy also. When you look at the Fed, I mean the Federal Reserve, the Central Bank of the United States, the Fed is going to hike rates and will start balance sheet reduction. And the FOMC ended asset purchase program in the beginning of the March. So these all means that cheap dollar era is ending, and it is a red alert for emerging economies like Turkey. It will not easy to find cheap money from abroad to finance projects. And let's look at Turkey's credit default risk. I mean the CDS risk. I think in the previous session, one of the attendees talked about this situation, and it's very important for the investment climate. When you look at the Turkey's credit default risk, it is in the highest level. It is in the highest level since 2008 global financial crisis. That means Turkey's borrowing costs are very high nowadays. This also makes credit interest rates higher. When you want to finance an energy project in Turkey, you need some credits from the banks. And when the CDS CDS is higher, that means your credit interest rates will be higher. So when you look at the CDS, you can see that in the near future, if you wanna finance your renewable energy project, any other project in the energy field, you have to borrow money with higher interest rates. And we have another challenge on the monetary side. Again, in the previous session, one of the attendees warned about this situation. Yes, US dollar and Turkish lira exchange rate is going up faster and faster. It's going up faster than before. And weak lira means expensive investment costs in dollars. So the credit default risk is higher. Credit interest rates are higher, and we have weak lira nowadays. And then let's look at the balance of payments situation in Turkey. As all we know, higher balance of payments deficit means higher risks for economy. According to the latest data, the current account recorded $22 billion deficit in Turkey. It's a huge amount for Turkish economy, and the current account deficit means you need much more FX than before. So this means that in the near future, Turkish lira will be much more weaker than before. And we have another risk in the Turkish economy. This is inflation. Nowadays, we have the highest inflation in the emerging markets. The CPI, I mean the Consumer Price Index, hit a two-decade high level to 54.4%. This is very high level for Turkish economy. This is very high level for emerging markets. And when you look at the producers price index, I mean the PPI, it's also a huge index, a huge level. It is 105%. So these data show us that in the near future we are going to see higher inflation in Turkish economy. These all are getting harder to invest in Turkey, especially in the renewable side, because you know when you want to invest in renewable energy, you need to borrow FX much more than it's not feasible in Turkish lira credits. So you need to borrow FX credits from Turkish banks or abroad. These all make Turkish economy risky, and we can see the results of all these numbers in the credit rating decisions. It's not good, but this is the reality. The Turkish economy is under the level of investable economies for three of the credit rating agencies. These data, these information all show us that local financing conditions are not enough to reach net zero economy targets in Turkey. Lastly, I have to mention that Turkey's energy sector, especially in renewable technologies, is dependent to other countries. So we need to get them from the other countries, and you have to pay in FX. So these all makes Turkish economy and Turkish energy sector risky, but Turkey is a key country for EU's energy supply and price security. This is very important for the region and for the EU and for the relationship between EU and Turkey. When you look at the renewable energy projects, there is a success story in the near future. There is a success story, and we still have an untapped potential. It's on the desk. We still have untapped potential. And nowadays, Turkey is going to be an energy trading hub by using its geographic advantage, by using its market. So Turkey is not just a corridor, is not just a bridge. Turkey is going to be a trading hub in the region. To reach zero net economy targets, Turkey needs much more foreign direct investment. There are a lot of incentives and opportunities for foreign investors in Turkey. As we know, higher FDI means higher outcomes for both sides, I mean Turkey and the EU. Yes, I know there are mechanisms, but we need much more mechanisms. We need additional EU channels and financial mechanisms to develop long-term new renewable energy projects. We have to create new finance models for renewable energy projects, and we must generate technology transfer programs to build more feasible facilities. But there is not enough time to do that. So we need to plan and act in a rapid way because significant time remains for energy transition. So we need to get harder, and Turkey and EU countries and also UK must cooperate faster than before. Turkey has a huge potential in the renewable side, but there are some macroeconomic problems in Turkish economy. So we can fix the problems with the foreign direct investments and Turkish government's incentives. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Levent Bey, and that was very interesting. We're now going to move on to the panel session, and Levent Bey will also be on that panel. It will be moderated by Erdem Sezer from TKYB, and we'll be going straight onto that now, I believe.
Yeah, okay. We can start for the next panel. Everyone's here, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to expand on the subject that Levent Bey has done his keynote speech on, and again, a very eminent and experienced group of speakers on this panel. And Erdem Bey is going to introduce the panelists, and we look forward to a very interesting discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Erdem, are you with us?
Erdem Bey?
I think he's frozen.
I think he's under the snow somewhere, I think. He's frozen. Okay, we'll try and get back to Erdem.
Yeah.
I mean, let's move forward. Can the panelists just introduce themselves?
Exactly. Yeah. We can.
Yelchin.
Hello, my pleasure. It was unfortunate that we lost Erdem at the beginning, but I guess it's fine. I mean, it happens all the time. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to be with such distinguished guests and the EEL events for that a really nice, panel session. So I'm Yalçın Altuntaş, and I'm working for Borusan EnBW Energy in Turkey. Borusan EnBW is the largest wind operator in Turkey. We develop and operate our own wind power plants. We also have some hydropower and solar power as well. So I'm an industrial engineer myself, and I also have a degree on finance engineering as a master's degree. And I've been working in the Borsa and EnBW for 11 years now. And my current position is the manager of business development and strategy.
Thank you, Yalcin Bey. Can we go on to Gülkap? And if you could introduce yourself, please.
Of course, thank you very much. My name is Hasan Gökalp Şimbiş. I am the Sales and Customer Operations Director of SmartPulse Technologies. I have more than 15 years of experience in energy domain, and with the help of my entrepreneurial background, combined with C-level management experience in regional conglomerates, I have found my professional match in SmartPulse. I become a member of an enthusiastic team trying to address the current and future challenges of power trading, help reduce cost and increase operational efficiency of renewables, and all in all to support the transition to a greener and more sustainable future. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Electrical and Electronics Engineering from Hacettepe University, Ankara, Turkey. Thank you.
Thank you. And Levent, who we've met before, so I don't think he needs any introduction. But until we can get Erdem Bey back, I mean, Levent, would you mind just leading the discussion until we get Erdem back online?
Why not? But
I think now
Erdem sending. Okay, he's back. Okay,
I think he's back now. So Erdem Bey, we've introduced the panel.
Sorry for that.
Already. So maybe you can just introduce yourself and continue with your moderation responsibilities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris and Emine Hanım. Sorry for this, the trouble that happened a few minutes ago. I think there was an internet connection problem. So finally, I'm back. So I would like to welcome all the panelists and valuable speakers here. I believe I was just hearing that Gökalp Bey was introducing himself. So just a quick info about me that I'm Erdem, working in the Development and Investment Bank of Turkey just for 1 year. I was working in the energy business for the last 12 years, including a consultancy company and the energy company. Currently, I'm the head of the sector research department in the bank, and dealing with the energy sector and also with the other manufacturing sectors. So it's again honor to me to be in this panel with Gökalp Bey, Yalcin Bey, and Levent Bey. I don't know if Yalcin Bey and Levent Bey introduce themselves. So Chris, can I go ahead with the introduction, or should I go just ahead with the questions? Your mic is closed. I think your mic is closed, so I can't hear you.
Right, sorry. I'm technically challenged, you see, when I get older. But we've introduced the panelists in your short absence, so if you can go straight into the discussion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris. So today we are discussing a really challenging topic. It's a zero net or near net zero economy, which is on the top of the world agenda in combating against the climate change. So it's obvious that we may need to change the way we live. The net zero targets will definitely change in policies, technologies, and consumer and investor preferences, which will lead to considerable shifts both in demand and also for various goods and services. So by coming to 2050, we believe that the oil and gas production volumes is expected to be lower than they are today, and the coal production might be end by 2050. So we are coming to today's agenda is where should we place the energy infrastructure in net zero economy? Hope we will find some answers today with Gökalp Bey, Yalcin Bey, and Levent Bey. So I will go ahead with my first question to Yalcin Bey. That is about that. What you think about Turkey's green energy potential, the level of deployment, and the targets that we are planning to reach?
Thank you, Erdem Bey. Of course, I'm looking at the perspective of a wind operator in Turkey, so I guess I'm a bit knowledgeable regarding the wind potential, but solar potential as well. Of course, there are many rumors, I must say, regarding the renewable potential of Turkey. Regarding the wind potential, I guess an old study tells us that there is a 48 gigawatts of onshore potential in Turkey, but I believe that study was made with the old technology. So if we translate this to today's technology, the onshore wind potential comes up to some 120 gigawatts, which is actually quite impressive. And this is only the onshore wind potential. If we look at the offshore wind, this is a really, it's an area on the early stage, so it should need a lot of development. But I think the offshore development, offshore wind would be a secondary thing on Turkey's green energy agenda for the next decades, maybe. Coming to the solar potential, I believe there is no roof for that, but no ceiling for the solar potential. But I guess the main constraints on that area is our grid capacity. That's what I would say. Yeah, I think that was it for the beginning.
Thank you very much, Yalçın Bey, for your comments. You have said that the offshore wind power will also be another major investment for Turkey's targets to reach by 2050 or even 2030. We believe that there are some developments in the state side about the offshore wind power plants. Hope that this potential will be commissioned in the next years. So I would like to get back to the Levent Bay. So what's your view on that? I mean, how Turkey will reach these targets to reduce its both CO2 emissions and also to reach its targets in terms of the Green Deal? Your mic is also closed.
Sorry. Thank you very much. As all you know, I'm not an energy sector expert. I'm just studying energy in the means of economic security, and so I had to study in energy security fields in the near future. So I'm going to answer your questions very shortly to provide more time for the other attendees. I'm sure they will give a lot of information about this issue, but I can briefly say that Turkey has a huge potential on solar, wind, and geothermal fields, as all we know. But to use this potential and to reach zero net economy targets, Turkey needs to create new financing models. And Turkish energy sector companies must find much more foreign partners or investors. Yes, there is a huge potential, as we know, especially in the solar, wind, and geothermal. As I remember, Turkey is the fourth biggest geothermal energy producer in Europe. If I am wrong, please correct me. But these are very expensive projects for Turkish economy. In the previous session, I make a keynote presentation about Turkey's economy, and we see that when we look at the Turkish economy, we see that it's going harder and harder to finance renewable energy projects in Turkey with local financial conditions. So in the next 1 or 2 years, local financing conditions will be much more expensive than this. So we need to cooperate with EU countries and EU financing companies or banks to reach zero net economy targets, to build facilities, and to build new projects.
Thank you very much, Levent Bey, for your valuable comments on that. You reached to the point from another perspective, I think, which is also so great. So I got back to you, to Gökalp Bey. He's an really experienced person in energy sector since I was in the energy markets in Turkey. So, Gökalp Bey, I'd like to revise the question a little bit more. That adding that how the energy markets will change to support the green energy transition from your perspective.
Thank you very much, Erdem Bey, for your kind words and the question. In terms of energy markets and green transition, decentralization is the lead subject here, obviously. Conventionally, system and market operators have been managing generation assets that can be expressed in numbers of hundreds or maybe thousands. The innovation brought forward by distributed generation and digitalization of energy with smart grid systems, smart IoT devices, blockchain technology, and the introduction of e-mobility to mainstream requires an immense amount of workload to system and market operators, since the number of assets to be managed or at least have to be considered while managing the grid or market will reach to quantities in tens or maybe hundreds of millions of different points. So the process of governing this dynamic workload and flow of massive amounts of data is considered to be more efficient if the governing bodies are transformed into a main organization that consists of the combination of local regional grids and local regional markets, which are easier to manage and inherently more sustainable due to their smaller size and their better fit with local realities in terms of physical and financial terms. Accordingly, the structure of governing markets needs to be in line with the inevitable wave of innovation that is coming up with this decentralization of energy. So the main body on top will be in charge of many small regional markets or grids that tackle many thousands or maybe many millions of different points, either that can push energy to the grid or withdraw energy from the grid dynamically. In relation to that, financial systems put in place should also transform and gain the mandatory flexibility to deal with the speed and quantity of transactions that the decentralized energy mechanisms will bring. This is also inevitable. With the help of mainly social media interaction, consumers' view on energy business and their attitude in terms of their personal responsibilities are also going through a rapid evolution towards sustainability and green energy transition. In the recent years, many other countries also adopted new mechanisms to allow the consumers to support green energy by guarantees of origin or green certificates, etc. And we see that the public awareness is being step by step increased towards a more greener future. With the successful implementation of these mentioned systems, a more broad, beneficial, inclusive and foreseeable environment will be promised to entrepreneurs, investors, and all the other participants, which will inevitably create a value and also support economies by creating more jobs for this market. So overall, briefly, the upcoming transition is going to be good for every individual and also for the whole society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gökalp Bey. You made really good points for that targets to reach, I think. So let me go ahead with the second question, and Yalçın Bey. So what are the types of energy infrastructure and projects that are required to meet market demands and achieve some further usage of more climate neutral energy sources in Turkey? What's your view on that?
Okay, so I mean, we have a target, of course. It's 2053, and we would like to achieve a net zero target. I guess that's quite obvious for everyone, and probably I mean, we might all hear some other infrastructure needs, such as storages or I don't know, maybe hydrogen from other attendees as well. But actually, I want to start from the basics. We have to add more and more wind and solar to our grid. I mean, in terms of installed capacities, we are doing okay, but I don't think we are at the desired level. If we compare like our population, our economic growth, our place in the world, I mean, that's not enough, I believe. So we have to add more and more wind and solar in the upcoming years. There are, of course, some like reference targets for us. For example, in 2015, when Turkey signed the Paris Agreement, they have provided an INDC, which I mean comes from every country, and in that INDC targets, we were committed to add 10 gigawatts wind and 10 gigawatts solar more to the grid. And when we look at our current situation, these targets look actually quite easy because in 2025, it seems that those targets can be easily achieved, especially on solar, because we have achieved a really rapid expansion on the solar market. But I think with the ratification of the Paris Agreement, we have to revise our INDC as well, and we have to align our renewable targets with our 2053 net zero targets as well. And Levent Bey pointed out a very significant thing, the financing channels. In order to add more and more renewables, we have to align the financing conditions, capacity allocation methods, auction methods, and other things aligned with the financial environment, I believe. Only that we can achieve the large-scale deployment on Turkey, and then, of course, in parallel, I mean, I guess there is no prioritization, but in parallel, we should also achieve the distributed energy transition, as Gökalp Bey pointed out.
Thank you very much, Yalçın Bey. So, Levent Bey, since you're an expert in the economics as well, so what's your view that how this energy transition will affect Turkey in economic terms, and also from the security side, from the energy supply side? What will be your thoughts about that?
As we know, Turkey's electricity demand is going up day by day. So first of all, we need to build facilities for our own electricity demand or energy demand also. This is very important because we are producing electricity with natural gas also. That makes Turkey's current account deficit higher. So we need to build much more wind and solar facilities. I agree with Yalçın Bey in this situation. And also, I think the Green Deal will be a great benchmark for energy investment climate for Turkey. But I think we need to replan our energy infrastructure. I mean the financing. I mean the projects to reach zero net economy immediately, because we still use coal to produce electricity, as you know. Although we have signed Paris Climate Agreement, and when you look at the last situations in the world and also in Turkey, it will not easy to close the coal facilities sooner. So we need to replan our strategy in energy sector or in energy infrastructure. When you look at the economic side, it will not be easy because of the macroeconomic conditions in Turkey, in the world also. Everything is going to be more expensive in the near future because of the FX rates and any other thing in Turkish economy, maybe inflation. The credit interest rates are going up because of the CDS. So I'm again agree with Yalçın Bey in this situation that we also need to build a financial infrastructure in renewable energy investments. This is very important for Turkey. We have a huge potential, okay, but financing these projects is not easy as before. So a great financial infrastructure is needed for Turkish renewable energy sector to reach zero net economic targets.
Thank you very much, Levent Bey. So I understand that, which is the theme of this session, that we need a reliable and robust infrastructure to achieve these targets among the other targets that we have to go ahead with that. So without the infrastructure, I think it's not possible to reach the targets as far as we know. So I want to get back to you, Gökalp Bey, and I want to learn the consumer side in that situation. So how do you place the consumer, and what are the role of consumers will change in the green energy transition?
Thank you, Erdem Bey. Households and industrial consumers and all maybe commercial consumers will all become an active stakeholder into which we call as prosumers in the future of green energy transition. This includes rooftop and similar consumer level generation assets, batteries on their electrical vehicles, and also their household scale battery applications, charging stations equipped with solar panels and maybe some storage equipment, and cloud-based softwares and mobile applications, which probably will be provided as a software as a service solution for remote monitoring, management, and optimization, and also the financial settlement of all these local energy generation and trading activities, micro-level trading activities, will all become a part of the distributed and decentralized energy ecosystem. So the consumers with generation capabilities that we call as prosumers will become the dominating players in the energy market. All these technologies will be used both by individuals and businesses to change their passive roles in energy business and become an active market player. They will be transforming the power systems and also the markets from a conventional monodirectional model in which the assets are pushing the energy to the grid and the consumers are just trying to manage their consumption or create some efficiency, will be transformed into a new model which is increasingly decentralized and will have a multi-directional model. As we said, everybody will be pushing energy and withdrawing energy from the grid, and also carrying out micro-level transactions, commercial transactions, as we have mentioned before. And in order to enable this transition in the role of consumers, all the market and system operators should adopt reliable solutions to create transparency and also adapt optimization technologies to support and encourage these prosumers to make the most out of this complex ecosystem and help these new opportunities to become real.
Thank you very much, Gökalp Bey, touching on the consumer point of view in the green energy transition. So I want to get back again to Yalçın Bey and ask about that. What do you think that about the main constraints of reaching rapid deployments on large scale of renewable power plants? What do you think that the challenges will be ahead on that target?
Yeah, I mean, if you ask about the large-scale deployments, then we should, of course, talk about the utility-scale solar and wind deployments and projects. I believe I can list the constraints in 3 different categories, such as we have grid constraints, we have some legislative constraints, and also we have some financial constraints. So we have some difficulties to access the finance. The grid part is it's actually rather easy. I mean, our state-owned grid operator, TEİAŞ, is the responsible of allocating the renewable capacities to the investors and organizing the auctions and everything. And up to that moment, TEİAŞ has been acting quite conservative in terms of calculating the renewable capacity. So we, I mean the sector, industry participants, stakeholders, have gathered many times, also tried to prove otherwise with some academic studies, etc. But I think we are progressing to a better place in terms of grid capacities. Last example was announced actually this week. Another almost 3 gigawatt renewable capacity was announced for 3 different categories, for hybrid applications, for capacity extensions, and also for the off-campus unlicensed generation, which is also quite important, I believe. It will be like maybe next story of the Turkish renewable energy market. So that was the grid part. On the legislative part, what we are asking all along, I mean, first of all, energy companies, I mean, renewable energy developers, they don't want to reduce the numbers of, permits and documents and everything. Of course, every one of them are quite necessary. Also, there is some certain public awareness towards those large projects. So we don't want to be seen as a not like an environmental friendly state in terms of constructing those projects. But we still lack of a governing body of all these different administrative permits and documents. And actually, a commission was established within the Energy Ministry, but it's still not functional. So what we expect from the government side is that there should be a governing body, another maybe institution, a separate institution or a council to combine all these permits and reduce the time and man-hour for us to get all those permits and documents. The financing part, again, maybe the most important one. Of course, there is a success story in Turkish renewable market. In the last decade, we have achieved more than 10 gigawatt of wind and more than 7.5 gigawatt of solar, which is actually quite impressive. But when you look at the main drivers behind that success story, it was the Turkish feed-in tariff, which we call YEKTEM, as all of you know. So by the mid of 2021, we switched to the new YEKTEM scheme, which will be in local currency with an escalation formula, of course. And then we have been also introduced with the new capacity allocation mechanisms with the local currency, again, with Turkish lira. So all of that created some uncertainty among the investors and also the financiers. So as the renewable developers, we get our financing mostly from the international finance institutions. So in order to sustain those flows of funds, we need to have a investment ecosystem, an investment climate with minimal uncertainty. So I guess if we can reduce the uncertainties along the market, the financing part would be much more accessible. Of course, it's not all up to us. Now we are also dealing with some geographical, conflicts and a global energy crisis. So, but of course, we can do our part and we can invite new investments to Turkey for the renewable investments.
Thank you very much, Yalçın Bey. So, Gökalp Bey, do you have any comments what Yalçın Bey said? So, what would be your points on that topic as well?
Actually, I'm again agree with Yalçın Bey in the success story position. Yes, Turkey has a success story in renewable energy, but I'm not sure it's enough or not, because there is a huge potential. In the near future, we can use this potential. Yes, the government issues guarantee of purchase on renewable energy projects. Okay, but I think there is a problem with the FX and the Turkish lira exchange. When you invest these projects, you have to use US dollar or euro credits from the banks in EU or UK, but you are getting back a guarantee of purchase in Turkish liras. So this is a challenge for the renewable energy projects also. The main constraint is money, I think, again, because financing renewable projects are not easy as it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And also, I wanna mention that Turkey's energy sector is dependent to some major countries in technology. We also need to buy this technology, buy this know-how from the other countries, especially PV panels and wind turbines. And we have to buy these from the other countries. So maybe it's better for Turkish energy sector to make a joint venture projects and get some know-how and produce especially wind turbines. I think it's easier than PV panels. It will be much more cheaper than it was in EU countries. I'm not saying the PV panels because of there is big countries in this sector as China, so the price will be expensive from China, I think. But lastly, in your latest question, I can tell you that the basic constraint is money in the energy sector again to reach the zero net economy targets and to deploy the renewable energy all over the country.
Thank you very much, Levent Bey, for your valuable comments. So I want to get back to you, Gökalp Bey. So how do you see that? I mean, what would you like to add on the comments of Yalçın Bey and Levent Bey, and what's your view on that at the same time?
Thank you. The decentralization of energy requires immense amount of infrastructure management. Even if the electricity storage issue was solved, for example, there would have to be a constant communication between micro operators, micro level grid operators, and micro park markets, and also power plants and other participants in this activity. However, the current digitalization of the energy industry allows automatization of these communications, but desperately needs to be backed up by legislation and also financial institutions. The preparation stage for this legislation should include and truly consider all possible types of stakeholders with a new technological aspect. For example, grids are not suitable, not fit to charge all electrical vehicles simultaneously. Everybody wants to own an electrical vehicle, but right now the grids are not able to fulfill their charging needs. So the rule makers should consider the technological solutions and modern solutions that can address those problems even before they occur. Otherwise, we will end up with electrical vehicles that cannot be charged and maybe that cannot be able to move from place A to place B, even if they are very efficient and environmental friendly. With these legislative supports, more stakeholders can join this ecosystem to create a more efficient and state-of-the-art energy grid. And another important point that must be emphasized is all legislative changes should be done after a transparent and interactive process that includes the participation of potential and future market players. And those changes should not take effect instantaneously, but with a suitable time period in order to not scare new micro-scale investors or financially harm the new participants within this field, because we need to encourage the society to help and take active part in this transition on a large scale.
Thank you very much, Gökalp Bey, as well. So, I want to ask my final question, and I want to go ahead with the Yalçın Bey. What do you think about opportunities for new and smart technologies for delivering this future-proof energy infrastructure, and also how we contribute to smart technologies is in your company, as a member of your company, and what do you think about the challenges ahead that you're going to experience?
Thanks. I would like to start with the battery technologies. As you know, we have been fighting to get a legislation for the energy storage technologies, and finally last year we had this. And since the October 2021, the applications are open for companies to obtain the permits for a energy storage unit, whether in your own power plant or as a standalone unit. But as we can see, the actual applications are not at the desired level. Of course, there are many reasons behind that. But I think we can bring the discussion to, we can take the discussion from generation part and bring it to the transmission and distribution side. So I guess we have to open more channels. We have to bring more incentives for the developers and investors for them to invest in those battery solutions which can be used in transmission and distribution systems. And we should identify maybe regional bottlenecks and maybe TEİAŞ can organize auctions for the battery units in those regional bottlenecks. I think we should introduce that to our grid. If we can get to a more, a smaller part and maybe a company-wide section. Of course, at the moment we are dealing with lots of technologies in wind generation. As you know, wind generation is unpredictable, and some people think that is the biggest setback on renewable deployment for our future or our future targets, etc. But with a careful planning and with the help of new technologies, I think we will overcome those problems. At the moment, of course, we've been getting wind forecasting services for a very long time from different service providers. But for the last 2 years, we've been also developing our own wind forecast model in the company, and we are getting help from machine learning technologies, for example. Also, we've been working with companies, including Smart Pulse as well, to develop algorithmic intraday systems. Also, we have invested in a lot of in the preventive maintenance systems of our wind turbines, in which we also get support from artificial intelligence technologies. So those are not deployed yet, but we are talking about drone technologies. We are talking about wearable technologies, augmented reality technologies in order to help ourselves in turbine maintenance, and all of this will allow us to reduce our costs in operation and maintenance. So in our journey to a low-cost generator for the renewables, and which is actually quite essential, this is where we should all go. Those new technologies are actually quite essential, and we try to deploy them one by one in the company. But of course, it's quite difficult with our current human resources and with our current know-how. So we always try to co-develop something, a new product or a new technology with the other technology providers or startups or other service providers. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Yalçın Bey. Gökalp Bey, I want to get back to you. Yalçın Bey said that they're already working with you in terms of balancing mechanism, the managing the balancing mechanism and balancing costs for the wind power plants. And also, Yalçın Bey mentioned about the algorithmic energy trading, especially in the intraday market in Turkey. So, how do you contribute this side of the electricity market as a company whole? So, what's your infrastructure leading to do energy balancing mechanism in Turkey? What do you contribute to the energy market with the technology that you are providing?
Thank you, Erdem Bey. Before I come to the kind words by Yalçın Bey, I would like to withdraw the general picture once again. The future of energy infrastructure is green and net zero. It's inevitable. This is not to some pink dream from a high castle, but a hard and cold fact. And we are witnessing an era of supply security concerns from both an origination perspective and a cost perspective. Smart renewables are the definitive answer to our problems. And we say renewables because the sun shines and the wind blows. Smart because you need intelligent systems to cope with these challenges that this transformation brings. This transformation happens in several dimensions, from conventional to renewables, from centralized to decentralized, as we mentioned before, and from baseload to very volatile. I mean, with high fluctuations during the minutes or maybe seconds level. And it brings questions on grid stability, price volatility, and congestion management. Smart Pulse is an enabler in those equations as it helps expansion of distributed generation, demand response, storage integration, grid stability, smart grids, in the near future, hydrogen technologies, electrical vehicle management, and efficiency by mobilizing the power of data. The opportunity for smart technologies lies within the ability to make use of this massive amounts of instantaneous data and also historical data, as you know, and bring value forward. We have created a super platform of energy trading, which enables market players to connect all energy exchanges, grid operators, power plants, consumers or prosumers, also service providers, via an end-to-end software as a service platform for algorithmic trading, as Mr. Yalçın has mentioned, forecasting, which has to be done many times during the day, so that you can get up-to-date, up-to-minute generation forecast to manage your imbalances, operational automation, and also for monitoring, which also includes an in-house developed IoT hardware. We are the unique platform for algorithmic energy trading and automation of power producers and consumers, which provides an end-to-end solution for trading, forecasting, and operational activities. So I can proudly say that we are already leading the Turkish market, but we also have recently acquired new partners, I don't want to say customers, business partners in Spain, since the European market and technical infrastructure is very similar to Turkish model, we have managed to export our solution to the leading markets abroad. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gökalp Bey, and congratulations with your new market expansion in Spain. So I want to get back to Levent Bey. Levent Bey, as you see that the Gökalp Bey has already mentioned, and Elçin Bey also mentioned about the collaboration in Turkey. Is that SmartPass, as far as I know, it was a startup. Now it's a scale-up company in Turkey. So it offers that there's a startup ecosystem in Turkey. It's growing, and also we have some unicorns even in Turkey. The Getir was one of that. Expanded its operations to many countries with the investments that they received. So how do you see in economic terms and in security terms the startup ecosystem in Turkey? How they contribute to the targets of the green energy transition? So what should be the support that should be given to these companies, these small companies?
Thank you very much. As all we know, in Turkey, the investment ecosystem is very dependent to the financial conditions, and then to lower these financial conditions, Turkey's government is building up techmer and technology centers and techno parks, and cyber parks, and there are a lot of incentives in these areas for the startups and the little companies to give some support to the energy sector. So it's not easy to finance this process. I know it, but there are a lot of incentives for the small companies. Especially in software area, and as I know in the energy sector, software is very important also. So I think to be shortly, I can say that the economic conditions is very important for the startups also. If you want to find an investor to your project or to your software, any other thing. The economic conditions is very important, and nowadays it's getting harder and harder in Turkey's economic situation. All over the world also because of the Russia-Ukraine war. There are a lot of problems, especially in the metal sector and in the raw material sector. So I think it's going to be. I think we need to finance these startups, especially in software. Included in the energy sector.
Thank you very much, Levent Bey. You also emphasized on the importance of the startups in the energy sector, not also in the energy sector, but in the entire economy. It's quite important that the startups will take place in developing the technology in Turkey and also in the world as well. So this is the end of our session. I think I want to thank to all of our esteemed speakers for the insightful comments. It was a real pleasure for me to be in this panel with you, where we discussed one of the most challenging topics in achieving net zero targets. Hope that we shed some lights on the minds of all participants. And once again, I would like to thank for your valuable contributions. And I wish you a pleasant weekend by having the joy of snow in Turkey currently we are having.
Thank you, Erdem. And as you've rightly said, a great panel. And I mean, the topic is very relevant and important at this moment in time as we're going through all these issues globally. So again, I just want to endorse your thanks to the panel for sharing all their knowledge and guidance. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.